There's a saying around here, lose a yard a year. And on this bit of coast, that's not just an old fisherman's exaggeration, it is often true. I am standing on the east coast of England, a place where entire villages have vanished into the sea, where the maps are constantly out of date, and where if you bought a house here a few centuries ago, you might now own absolutely nothing. Because this is one of the fastest eroding coastlines in Europe. And today, I want to explain why Britain's east coast is quite literally being eaten away by the sea, how it's been happening for over 1,000 years, and why no matter what we do, we will probably never entirely stop it. So let's start with the map. The east coast of England, from Yorkshire down through Lincolnshire, Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex, faces out into the North Sea. And this stretch of coast is made mostly of, well, really rubbish geology. Take at Hapsburgh, the cliffs aren't rock, they're basically stiff mud. And geologists call it glacial till. It's the stuff left behind when the last ice age retreated about 12,000 years ago. So imagine building a sand castle out of damp sand. Now imagine the tide coming in and pounding it every few seconds. That is the east coast. Now, I've just picked this up from the beach. It's about as solid as a digestive biscuit dunked in tea for a fraction too long. That's what the cliffs are made of. Look how easy that is to break. Well, yeah. But it's not just the geology, it's the waves. The North Sea is shallow and funneling. Storm surges can push water much higher than normal tides. And in 1953, a massive North Sea flood killed over 300 people in England and thousands in the Netherlands. But even without disasters, the waves hit the coast at an angle, moving sediment southwards. So, as bits of cliff collapse, the sand and gravel don't just stay put, they get whisked down the coast until eventually they disappear altogether. This process is called longshore drift, and it's why so many places are losing land. But villages here don't just move inland. Sometimes they simply cease to exist. So let's talk about Dunwich, a town once so important it was known as the capital of East Anglia in the medieval period. In the late 1200s, Dunwich was a booming port with as many as 8 churches, dozens of streets and a thriving population. Then came storms, huge ones, and in 1286 a storm surge swept away half the harbour, and in 1328 another storm finished it off. The town literally fell into the sea piece by piece, and by the time Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries in the 1500s, the sea had claimed so much of Dunwich that even the royal commissioners noted that the sea hath devoured the greater part of the town. Today, Dunwich is a tiny village, and nearly the entire medieval town is underwater. But divers can still find rubble and medieval pottery beneath the waves. So why don't we just stop it? Well, we try. We build sea walls, groins, rock armour, big lumps of Scandinavian granite shipped in at vast expense, but it's a bit like playing whack-a-mole. Defend one bit of coast and you often make erosion worse somewhere else. Protect a village with a sea wall and the waves bounce off and hit the neighbouring bit of coast even harder. And here is the big problem. The natural coastline wants to retreat inland. It's been trying to do that for thousands of years between Flamborough Head and the Thames estuary. It's estimated that since Roman times, the sea has eaten away over 3 miles of land in places, and hundreds of settlements have been lost. There's even a record from the Domesday Book in 1086 listing towns that no longer exist because they've already been washed away. So, if you ever look at a medieval map and think, hey, Why is there a town in the middle of the sea? Well, that's why. Take Hapsburgh again. In the early 20th century, the village was over 400 metres from the cliff edge. Today, some houses are less than 10 metres away, and local roads have simply ended mid-air. People here have lost entire streets. One local woman famously woke up to find her garden shed hanging over the cliff. And this isn't going away. Climate change means higher sea levels and potentially more frequent storms, which mean more erosion, and the cost of defending every single stretch of coastline, astronomical. So in some places, the official policy is managed retreat, which basically means pack up and move inland. Now it sounds harsh, but sometimes the only sensible option is to accept that the sea is coming for us. So next time you're walking along the east coast of England and you see warning signs or a row of houses a bit too close to the edge, spare a thought for the centuries of people who've watched their homes, churches and entire communities vanish into the waves, because here on the east coast the sea's been nibbling away for millennia and it is showing no signs of stopping.
So I've just found this on the floor, literally down here, and this is what the cliffs are made of. Well, you know, we're not causing any damage to the cliffs by doing this. It's literally on the beach. So to show you, this is just sand and it's crumbling off of my hand like that. But if you look, it just snaps in half. So one rough tide, it's all gone.
Thank you for watching. This has been Sky Explores. If you liked, please like, subscribe and join us again soon.